Hello everyone and welcome to another really exciting game from the World Rapid Championship that ended a little while ago. It's a game between Timur, Gareyev and Fabiano, Caruana. I knew I was going to cover this game, I just didn't know when exactly, but a lot of you have requested it, so here it is. It's completely out of this world. You guys will enjoy it, so let's dive straight into it. So Gareyev with the white pieces opens with d4. We have knight to f6 by Fabi, c4, e6, knight to c3, and bishop to b4. The Nimzo Indian defense is on the board, which usually means that it's going to be a very, very enjoyable game. So here we have queen to c2, going for the classical variation, castles by black, and now a3. The standard idea, we want to challenge black's bishop and ask black, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back? But always black captures here. So we have bishop captures, and now we don't want to ruin our pawn structure, so we're going to capture with the queen, kind of why we played queen to c2. So here queen captures on c3, we have d6, and now knight to f3. So this is all very standard stuff, nothing new here. We have rook to e8, preparing e5, and bishop to g5, developing and pinning the knight on f6. We have h6, and now bishop to h4. And there is a game in the database where queen to e7 was played, but here we have g5 by Caruana, and it is now, as of move 9, that we have a completely new game. So let's see how Gareyev deals with this g5 push. We have bishop to g3, anything else is pretty much pointless, and now e5. Striking in the center, Gareyev's king still occupies d1 square, so we want to open up the center and attack the white king. And the idea is, of course, you can't just, for example, capture on e5. I mean, you could, but then knight e4 can be somewhat pleasant. Now, what do you do with the queen? For example, if queen e3 attacking the knight, bishop f5, and black is getting a lot of development in for that one pawn, and, well, the white king is still on e1, so it's a very it's a crazy position. So instead, after e5, Gareyev just castles queenside, which is, well, very interesting. And now comes knight to e4, attacking the queen and the bishop, like in the previous line, but now queen to e1, and now f5. Now Fabi's threatening f4 to trap the bishop on g3, and here comes d captures on e5. And I believe Gareyev had everything prepared up to this point, and maybe a few moves further, because it all makes sense, and it all is the strongest reply by the engine. So here he's offering the g3 bishop, but you'll see it's not, it's not all that black and white. So here f4, trapping the bishop, and now e3. Another very good move, preparing bishop to d3 to attack the knight, but also we're just threatening to free our bishop with e captures on f4. So Fabi has to capture on g3, otherwise what is he really doing? We have h captures on g3, now you also have to worry about the h6 pawn, and queen to e7 now. Developing the queen, you couldn't capture here with the pawn or the rook, because the knight guards the pawn and the rook pins the pawn, so you have to move the queen first. Now comes bishop to d3, attacking the knight, and bishop to f5 now. And it's, like I said, this is a crazy game, and there are a lot of good potential pause the video moments, but this is the one I really enjoy because it's so early on in the game. So feel free to pause the video here and win the game for Gareyev while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting the move Gareyev played. Rook captures on h6, or knight to d4, also a fine idea, going after the bishop, but there is one move that is even more precise than these two, and that is g4. So congratulations to everyone who found this, and I know a lot of you guys were thinking about b4, but no, this is one rare occasion where b4 does not win the game. It's actually g4. The idea is that if the bishop moves from this diagonal, we simply pick up the knight on e4, and it doesn't matter if the bishop goes back to g6 or h7, are pretty much all the moves are the same. For example, bishop h7, we capture on h6, and now whatever black plays, we don't really care, we just capture the bishop here. And after queen captures, now there's knight captures on g5, attacking the queen. We're going to win the knight here. After the queen moves, knight captures on e4, and okay, let's say rook captures on e5, we're going to play f4, and the black king is completely wide open here. Yes, black is up the exchange, but look at those pawns coming after the black king, and well, it's just impossible to defend this with black. So this was one way to do it. However, in the game, rook captures on h6 was played, so I believe this was already out of preparation. And now queen to g7, attacking the rook here. And now knight to d4, offering the rook for knight captures on f5, but here comes the bishop to g4. Now Fabi is attacking the rook on d1 and also the rook on h6. So here rook back to h2. We want to save this rook, and now not captures bishop captures on d1, because if you go for this, then we play bishop captures on e4, and the white is just winning. Your bishop is hanging here, and once you move the bishop, queen to h1, now rook can come to h7, b7 pawn is hanging, you're going to lose the rook. There's too many threats to defend all of them. So instead, after rook h2, we have d captures on e5 now, attacking the knight, but now bishop captures on e4. We have e captures on d4, and now another beautiful moment where white is completely winning, but you have to play it precisely, and you have to play bishop to d5 with check. This is a rapid game, so of course players don't have all that much time to spot the moves, but I will show it as it's very interesting. So here you have to play bishop to d5 check. The rook controls the h file, so the king can't really move to the h file. You have to play king f8. Now there's queen b4 check, and now after you block with queen e7, rook to h8 check. Once the king moves, we're going to play queen captures on e7, rook captures on e7, and now rook d to h1, and there is not all that much black can do here. His position is extremely bad, even though for the moment he does have two pieces for the rook, but it's not going to be easy to, or rather he's up a piece, but he will not be able to defend this position. For example, d captures on e3, we're going to play rook 1 to h7 check, and after the king moves, we're going to play rook to f8 check, and now the rook falls, and we are of course winning. King e5, rook captures on e7 with check. Now we are up the exchange, and of course it's a completely winning position for white. However, here rook captures on d4 was played, thinking, okay, it's all the same, but now at least I control this square, I can get the rook into the game more easily. I'm still attacking b7 if I ever want to capture this, but now Fabi brings another defender into the game, and this is the last moment where white can seize advantage with bishop at the h7 check. Point is that the queen has to capture the bishop. If you play king f7, then we capture on g4, and then, well, it's just again completely winning for white. It's a really crazy position, so with the time on the clock being low, it's not easy to go for this, but this was the way to go. In the game, bishop captures on c6 was played, but now he missed one reply that Fabi can make, and this is just a complete game changer. So feel free to pause the video once again and now try to find a way out, the only way out for Fabi from this position, while I give you a couple of more seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing the queen on e1 is undefended. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, of course, queen captures on d4. We can even do a slow motion capture here nicely like this. Queen captures on d4. And now what do? If you capture, you lose the queen with check. So what are your options here? You could capture the rook here, but then comes queen captures on c4, and this is just terrible. King to b1, we're going to capture on e8, and now black is up a bishop, of course, completely winning. So you don't want to do that. So here, bishop back to d5 check was played. You don't want your bishop here on c6 waiting to be captured. King to f8, and now rook to h7. So it seems like Gareyev still has a couple of tricks up his sleeve, but now queen to f6. The only way to defend this position, because you have to be ready for rook f7, and here giving up the queen would be very much in favor for black. For example, captures, captures, and captures. You have two rooks and a bishop, you would be okay here. So instead, we have queen to b4 with check, rook to e7 blocking, and only now rook to f7 check. There simply isn't anything better. Queen captures, we have bishop captures, king captures, the rook is pinned, and now f3. So now it's Gareyev's queen against two rooks and the bishop, but the king is wide open, so it's very unlikely that you will be able to push for something here. If you had a pawn or two to defend your king, then black would be, the one to favor here. So bishop back to e6, we have queen captures on b7, now comes rook to d8. We have queen captures on a7, and now bishop captures on c4. And even though this might be an equalish position, this is rapid chess, and of course many things can go wrong. So queen c5 attacking the bishop, bishop back to e6, now comes queen captures on g5. We have rook to d5, and now queen to f4 with check. Now Fabi can block or hide with the king. He decides to block with rook to f5. We have queen to b4, and now rook to d7. We have e4 now, not allowing any rook to e4 ideas to go for rook d1. So rook to h5, trying to attack the white king from behind, and now queen to c3. We have rook to h2, going after the g2 pawn. Now comes queen to e3, and now rook captures on g2. We have a4. Gareyev starts pushing his pass pawn. Now rook d6. Maybe we can create some sort of a blockade here, as we do not want this pawn crossing the a6 square. So queen c5 first, going after the pawn, and now bishop to d7, attacking the pawn, but it doesn't matter. Of course, we don't capture on c7. If any of you guys were thinking about this, shame on you. Rook to c6 would lose you the queen. So after bishop to d7, queen to h5 check, we have king to f8, now comes queen to h8 check, king e7, queen to h4 check, and now king to f7. And it seems that black king will not be able to find any sort of safe haven. So queen h7 check, king to f6, we have queen to h8 check, king f7, queen to h7 check, king to e8, queen to h8 check, king to e7, queen to h4 with check, king to e8, and it was in this position that Gareyev and Caruana agreed to a draw, as there is nothing more to be done here. It would be too dangerous to try something. For example, if you try, let's say, queen h8 check, and now you want to get your king deeper into the position, let's say king e6. After f4, look at these pawns. It's already could be very uncomfortable for the black king. It's still a draw, but with little time on the clock, you don't want to allow such things. So after king to e8, they agreed to a draw. And what a miraculous escape by Fabi, and what a brilliant attacking game by Gareyev. That piece sacrifice, in the beginning was just incredible. And, just allowing this bishop to be trapped like this after this f4 move is completely insane. And, it just shows you what a creative player Gareyev is, and what incredible positions can arise from the Nimzo-Indian defense. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I actually have 2 photos for you to enjoy after the game. So here is one photo. This is Gareyev and Jobava here. You can see they are both very aggressive and very imaginative players, and you can see they're always having a good time, and that's the way you want to be playing chess. So I'm very happy that they have such a nice photo taken by David Lada. And also here is a nice one by Leonard Otis. This is also Gareyev. Here you can see that he's wearing a full chess wardrobe, and beneath that there is a Dragon Ball t-shirt. So I like it all. I just thought maybe some of you guys would enjoy this as well. A little bit of positive energy in your life, as Gareyev seems to be bursting with that. So yeah. That's the game, and some nice photos. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I would like to thank Dylan Holloway, Pat Coppinger, Madir Imam, Global Tennis Network, and Duras Press for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on everything that's happening in the chess world, and of course on your wonderful suggestions, and pretty much everything else that we do here. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And I am preparing a chess quiz, so be ready for that as well. See you soon.